out there. I know of a lady in Lagos who committed suicide today.
Today?
After seeing her JAMB result.
Today?
Yes.
That's surprising.
How many did she score? Is that the end of the world?
You may see it that way. A lot of persons put effort to this. There's another lady challenging her score. The reasons being that she said last year she scored 285, and this year she's scoring 155. That is not possible because she knows what she read, and her father has come out to also write to JAMB to rescore her, like remark her script. And you know this is computer. It's computer that is marking this thing. Now, would you say, because there are so many factors that can limit them? Let's start with the timing. Most of this JAMB now, most times they're telling you you're writing. The first set is writing at 6 a.m. That's how early they go. Before you reach there, whether you are there or not, they've started counting. JAMB itself knows that the sea in recent times has been very rough. We're not talking about the wind in some areas. Thank you. In some areas like Bonny, a lot of persons are not passing that area because of sea pirates. Now, JAMB cannot tell me that they are not aware. It means they do not do their due diligence. If they hear that route, if you're going through the sea, if you're going to Bonny or you're going to Bile, for instance, and there is danger for these children, it's that you're not sending them there, or you're sending security outfits there to protect them.
That's why I said, for me, we should be more realistic, because it's just like even during elections, it is not everywhere security personnel get access to. So what I would suggest further on that is that the local community need to partner with the institution, which is the JAMB. Now, let's do it this way. Bonny and Obugo, they share not less than 30 minutes drive, and then they are the same, almost the same federal constituency.
Yes, federal constituency.
They can share one JAMB center.
Since they are in land.
Bile and K. We have students in K. We have students in Bile, and they are close. Ilim Kalabari, they are students in Ilim Kalabari. In fact, there are some fishing ports around these areas that people live, and then they pull out to school every day.
Yes.
The local community, they even have oil multinationals there. They can partner.
No,
So the community need to send people that they know the outcry, and then imagine a city like Buguma and Abonima, as big as we call it city, do not have a JAMB center. It is now left for the chiefs, the youth bodies to call on these persons. How much would it cost? In fact, their buildings can be converted. There are government buildings that are just lying in waste.
Doing nothing.
In Buguma currently now, the consensus project that was built by Bomoye for Asaito was 61, e-center. It is, in fact, it was turned into a school by the government, and finally now it's a library that is not even functional. How many persons go there to read?
How do you know that library is not functional?
I mean, I go to Buguma and if you pass there, it's mostly locked. They only use the outdoor for events.
I think
they can convert that place.
Statement. How do you know that?
We see it every day. I see it every day. Let us say we. I see it every day.
Kuruma says the library is not functional.
The library it's a private library. It's not a government library.
Exactly.
It's a private library.
That's what I want to ask you.
But the sensation is that it should be useful to us. When you how many students currently goes to library to read?
What is global? Why are they even opening library again?
He said e-library. So that e-library cannot become. It is that it's e-library. That means they have computers. They have access to internet. They can still write to JAMB.
It's an e-library.
Yes,
that's a good one. Believe me.
JAMB can come. But he's saying it's not functioning as it ought to. Now that center can be used by JAMB. It's a good. But anyways, we still believe in the.
Then I think in recent times, the last birthday of Aishif Dumolu Briggs, he commissioned the same e-learning center at Obonoma, and I believe possibly in nearest time it will be completed. It may also
is it not complete? It's been long, but why
his birthday was last year. I don't know the scope of the project. Possibly.
Very vital question. Do you think the Nigerian government, WAEC alone, is okay, or WAEC probably every institution's aptitude test is okay? Because we hardly hear cases of aptitude tests results getting this or that. WAEC alone and this, do you think they should scrap out JAMB?
I mean, I support it.
Welcome to yet another exciting episode of the biggest podcast show in the city of Port Harcourt.
We are Gistcity Port Harcourt.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. You're welcome to yet another exciting episode of now we are the biggest right here in the city of Pitakwa, River State, Niger Delta. And of course, you know how we they do for this show. I wouldn't waste your time going straight to introducing our headline sponsors and our associate sponsors. Number one on the list, we have the big people in the house. I'm talking about the Belema Oil Producing Limited, dedicated to empowering me and you, dedicated to empowering startup businesses, dedicated to empowering host communities, local communities, especially those communities that they are drilling oil from. Number two on the list is the MLJ Marine Oil and Gas. Those of us that are always into our matter, of course, how much of importance MLJ means to us. You know what it does: empowering locals, empowering youths, empowering women like me and you in our local communities. All right, so without wasting much time, may we go straight into introducing my co-host in the building, Gelly Bar. Am I right? Is it Girl Bar or Gelly Bar?
Gelba.
Bar.
Gelba.
Because this is your name. So is it like a local name
It's a
or
local
like?
name.
Oh, so what about your international name?
I don't have any other name.
Okay, so we have Barrister Mrs. Gelba Princely in the house. And today we're talking about JAMB. Has JAMB ever jammed you before? Of what importance is JAMB is in our society today? Because we've been hearing a whole lot of negative, both negative and positive news about JAMB. Some people around us, they define intelligence or they define success, especially immediately after your secondary school. For you to pass JAMB, that's what defines your success rate. You get what I'm saying? Whether brilliancy, no brilliancy, a lot of people enclose all these things to your JAMB score. How many is your JAMB score? You're not brilliant. How many is your JAMB score? You're very brilliant for you to have scored sorry, I beg your pardon. For you to have scored so mark in your JAMB. So today, to help us dig deep, to help us dive deep in this conversation, we have a very, very young guest in the house. A guest that has seen through this JAMB. And it's not like you have seen this JAMB and it's been like 40 years. No, it's like recent times. Do you understand what I'm saying? So he's here to help us. His name is Inyebo Kroma Songo George. Alpha.
I'm very
Give me
much
short
okay.
photo, give me short photo.
Welcome, sir.
You're welcome.
Hi, David.
Very well, sir.
First of all, how many years did you sit for JAMB before? Are you educated? Like, did you go to school, tertiary institution?
Yeah, I did.
So how many years did you?
My first JAMB was in 2015.
First, that's one.
I got admission with that into the Elisha Amadi Polytechnic. I did my ND.
You wrote your JAMB once and entered.
Elisha Amadi. Although my first choice was Uniport, but
Does it define your how was it like passing your first JAMB and people are like, oh, you're in school now?
okay. I think at that time it was something that was worth it. A lot of persons were surprised, and then it was like JAMB. They still JAMB people low, and that was the feeling that you got. You wrote JAMB at the very first time you get admission into the tertiary institution. That was the feeling.
I feel you. Geba, have you ever?
I wrote JAMB twice. Although the two times I wrote, I scored very high. I
That means
the
you're
first-
brilliant.
I would say I'm lucky. Am I brilliant?
Did
I
you
don't
copy?
know.
Be sincere. Within Nigeria, yeah.
I copy now.
They do copy in JAMB.
Yeah,
Of course.
Did you
For me, I don't believe that.
okay, did you do Tumbo Baskalawa?
Maybe on rare occasions, maybe there are some questions that will come and then you have no idea. You can just maneuver your way, and then if I
Of
choose
course.
A now, I will choose B the next one.
You definitely I copied. If you're beside me and I'm not sure, but show me now. You help my life.
That was what happened.
But then, other than that, you are 80% ready, but doesn't mean you don't have hiccups around the corner. But the first time I wrote JAMB, I had one. The first one was 200. The second time I had 250. So I'd always been able to. What kept me that 2 years was post-UME. Why? Because Unilag didn't give me my choice, of course.
If only was good. Lagos,
Yes, I wanted to
you
study
did.
law there, but then they gave me linguistics, and that's not what I wanted. So I had to write again. I went to private school for.
All right, so this reminds me about me entering school, right? I've always had this. Maybe things are even better for me now, but because for me, I've always had this try. And one thing about me, I hardly give up, right? I think I wrote JAMB. Is it not 4 times or 3 times? Maybe trying to enter school. While writing JAMB, I'm brilliant. Then I've given my life to Christ. I'm not doing those things. I used to go and write exam for
For
people.
people. That's
You understand? That's
mercenary.
then no.
They call it mercenaries.
Yes, then cause they used to say I'm very brilliant, so they would just pick me. I'll go and write WAEC for people who pass. Or my own WAEC, I wrote like 3 times. My own, like I'll write for people like
Nakama.
do you understand? I'll write for people like so during JAMB did a lot of different things to me, right? I had to write again. I'm like, what is happening? At some point I'd given up. That was when I was like, let me just try again. And I tried and it's worked out for me. I tried again. That was the point I even gained admission into UST. Another while but that's like on his own. Because sometimes some of my customers when they call me be like, from which school, make I know which school. Rather than UST, I've been like that because I was once a student of UST, you understand? So, but believe me, JAMB was my parents use one word. If you fail JAMB again, we don't give hope on you. Do you understand? So, and in today's world, JAMB defines
your next level.
That's how, especially this new generation kids, that's how they see it. If you pass JAMB, you say Sabibu. No pass JAMB.
For me, I see that is how it has been over the years. Before the advent of CBT examination, which is computer based, JAMB has been even harder than WAEC, because for WAEC they give you the module.
Yes,
the school has the module and that's what they teach.
Yes,
but JAMB does not have a particular scheme of work that they give to schools to teach.
Yes.
So it is just like random questions. So and then when you get to that level of writing JAMB, you just have to improvise, because sometimes you read all through the night and when you go there, you see questions that you have never attempted to answer before, and then the scoring pattern in JAMB is also not made known to us. It's over 400. So I think scoring above average before the advent of CBT was a plus. In fact, so I think I have heard stories where people write JAMB and they come back home and they do feast for them. Nowadays, we no longer see that, because it's just like you can try again and again.
Relating it to the recent happening in Nigeria, especially this recent JAMB situation where a lot of people are not sure what JAMB had scored them, because I put it out with that's a story out there. I know of a lady in Lagos who committed suicide today. After seeing her JAMB result.
Today?
Yes.
And surprising.
How many did she score? Is that the end of the world?
You may see it that way. A lot of persons put effort to this. There's another lady challenging her score. The reasons being that she said last year she scored 285, and this year she's scoring 155. That is not possible because she knows what she read. And her father has come out to also write to JAMB to rescore her, like remark her script. And this is computer. It's computer that is marking this thing. Now, would you say, because there are so many factors that can limit them. Let's start with the timing. Most of this JAMB now, most times they're telling you you're writing. The first set is writing at 6 a.m. That's how early they go. Before you reach there, whether you are there or not, they've started counting. Some persons have started. I know of a girl that said she got there. People have already started in her house. She sat down and wrote, but then she did not write up to. She didn't go further because her timing was short. Because she was coming from another end, and there was no place for her to have an accommodation that is close to where she was. So I feel like these are also limitations.
For the timing, I think the CCM is not the time for the exam to start.
It is actually.
The JAMB brought a report that a lot of persons, including the likes of Peter Obi, former governor of Anambra State, wrote a letter to JAMB stating that students were complaining that the early timing. So JAMB clarified that, saying that 6:30 is time for verification and their thumb printing. So the exam starts officially by 8:30. So you have to be on ground, and then by the batch, a lot of persons will definitely come at that early time.
Have you heard?
They need a regulatory body for that, because that's not what it is. I'm telling you, because I know of a girl who did a video. They've already started. I don't know how she got the phone into her.
The JAMB needs to start. JAMB starts the same time for morning batch and afternoon batch. So there's no way one center will start before another.
But it's what you're saying. That's what because JAMB is defending themselves that it officially starts at 8.
When you wrote, what time did you?
Our time is from 8 now.
The same
but recently now, they have like 2 badges.
The badges is first 8. It ends by I think 12.
The
now the 8 now. What happens is they still have different sets that goes in from 8 to 12, because the exam is not more than an hour.
An hour, yes.
So once your turn is over, the next batch comes in by that maybe 9, 10, 11, 12. Then the second batch starts by 2 o'clock. So what I'm trying to clarify is that they tell them to come earlier, the morning batch, since they're starting by 8, so that they can do verification and get access to the it also aids the center to checkmate their network and their servers to know if there will be any glitch
Hiccups,
in
yeah.
Now,
network.
in the cause of maybe any glitch in network, fluctuation in network, who is to be blamed?
JAMB, of course, because they have the
But
duty of
it is
ensuring
always happening. Maybe systems,
it's JAMB.
computers, this,
Okay.
that, it is always
Over the
happening.
years, what I am aware of is that centers that have these issues of breakdown of network or their
system is not
goes bad,
working,
or their systems are low graded systems. What they do is they write official complaints and then they suspend the results of
that
that
center.
center and then they order for rewriting. It has happened over the years.
Rewriting.
Yes, they do rewrite
Yes,
JAMB
they do.
over the years. So I
Apart
think
from
that's
the time that they've given to do
yes.
Yes.
If for example your
If
exam is,
the report is there out there to JAMB,
and then they also send officials, JAMB officials, to go to these
go
centers
round.
to give on ground report.
Okay.
So if the report comes in and it is valid, let's take for example, over 300 students are writing in the first batch, and out of the 300, only 50 results were submitted to JAMB.
Yes.
They will definitely review what they've done.
So would you say location is also a problem? Because I think this, due to this recent JAMB that happened,
Exactly.
some young lives are under the captive of certain sea pirates. Would you say that some areas should not be given access for JAMB, or would you say government needs to do better to secure the lives of these people going out there to write
today
JAMB?
they talk about
Okay,
government doing
as a witness to some of these issues, my first JAMB, I wrote at Bayelsa. Imagine leaving the Bugma community, paying to Obaka Junction, and then going to another state to write a 40-minute exam. What I would suggest is that it's not just a government factor.
Okay.
Individuals and organizations also need to come in to solve this issue. For example, there was a time from 2013 to 2015 in Akpo. There was a JAMB center that was provided by His Highness Aminal Diamond to Bin West. Today, where is that center? A lot of persons have called me. They said one Okpo, I say it's Okpo community, there's a JAMB center. But today, in the entire 3 LGAs of the Kalabari Kingdom, there is no JAMB center. So let's do it this way. If you register JAMB, maybe on the first day of registration, they may give you a closer center. At Choba, my second JAMB was at Uniport. That I wrote and I gained admission into UST. It was at Uniport. So I would suggest that governments need to, possibly in 774 LGAs, possibly invest into JAMB. Since in universities currently we have an health center, a primary health center in every LGA that was provided by the former Rotimi Amishi administration. That same thing can be replicated in every LGA in the
funny enough,
state.
JAMB has money.
Yes, I will support that.
Money.
Yes. I will support that, but I will also say that for areas that are not secured, I feel like if this JAMB is a date has been stated for this JAMB, security personnel should be sent out for the protection of the not just JAMB center. The route to JAMB. The recent kidnapping at Mile.
Policies in Nigeria is very easy to
because these are ways you can control the lives of these people.
We formulate policies a lot here in Nigeria, but the implementation is the issue. Because there are a lot of things that are bothering. The pirates issue is not just because of JAMB. It has been reoccurring. So it is just because of the JAMB exam.
Yeah, it has been reoccurring, but then you should also know that while we are talking about this, are we going to say if there are means we can also use to control it, we will not do it? For instance, JAMB itself knows that the sea in recent times has been very rough. We're not talking about the wind in some areas. Thank you. In some areas like Bonny, a lot of persons are not passing that area because of sea pirates. Now, JAMB cannot tell me that they are not aware. It means they do not do their due diligence. If they hear that route, if you're going through the sea, if you're going to Bonny or you're going to Bile, for instance, and there is danger for these children, instead that you're not sending them there, or you're sending security outfits there to protect them.
That's why I said, for me, we should be more realistic. Because, it's just like even during elections, it is not everywhere security personnel get access to. So what I would suggest further on that is that the local community need to partner with the institution, which is the JAMB. Now,
That's a good
let's
one.
do it this way. Bonny and Ububo, they share not less than 30 minutes drive. And then they are the same, almost the same federal constituency.
Yes, federal
They
constituency.
can share one JAMB center.
Since they are in land.
Bile and K. We have students in K. We have
Yes.
students in Bile, and they are close. Ilim Kalabari, they are students in Ilim Kalabari. In fact, there are some fishing ports around these areas that people live, and then they pull out to school
Yes.
every day.
Yes.
We can the local community. They even have oil multinationals there. They can partner.
No, no.
No, that's
No, but still,
I'm
one
not
oil
first of all,
multinational
one
there.
realistic.
My question is now, now let's talk about all this oil multinational. What is the DAR 3 in this Calabari axis? What are they doing?
Exactly.
That three, with my little knowledge, it's the Degema Asaga Kuga Cluster Board. Basically, they get their resource or their finance from the Cotton Channel that we have close to Elim
Elim
Kalabari.
Kalabari.
And there's a committee that I think they review it, they do elections
Yearly.
on it. The only recent times that I've known what they've done for the Kalabari AG is the poultry at Balabalama.
Okay, at
And then when I was smaller, when I was younger, I think there was a particular vehicle they gave out. It's up to now. You see, it's yellow and blue. If you go to my own park, some person still drive the car. That's the only thing I know that three cluster have done. Maybe giving a scholarship that we don't
Because
know.
talking about local communities partnering with the
JAMB.
institutions,
JAMB
these are the
institution.
cases.
Yes.
It is on the people to cry out. We have most of our leaders are in Calabari will say, "You didn't get it. Let me benefit first before it gets to others." So in the local community
Most of our
need
leaders,
to
what kind of leaders are you?
leaders that are sent
Leaders,
out, because
yes.
definitely I think community nominates. Almost all the communities in Calabari have nominations in this Datri cluster. I think the chairmanship is shared between Buguma, Abunima, and Bakana. The chairmanship, secretary, and treasurer. I know of past leaders in that Datri cluster. So the community need to send people that they know the outcry, and then imagine a city like Buguma and Abunima, as big as we call it city, do not have a JAMB center. It is now left for the chiefs, the youth bodies to call on these persons. How much will it cost? In fact, their buildings that can be converted. There are government buildings that are just lying in the waste.
Doing nothing.
In Buguma currently now, the consensus project that was built by Bomoye for Asaito was one e-center. It is, in fact, it was turned into a school by the government, and finally now it's a library that is not even functional. How many persons go there to read?
How do you know that library is not functional?
I mean, I go to Buguma and if you pass there, it's mostly locked. They only use the outdoor for events.
I think it's
they can convert that place.
Statement. How do you know that?
No, we see it every. I see it every day. Let us say we. I see it every day.
Says the library is not functional.
No, library. It's a private library. It's not a government library.
Exactly.
It's a private library.
That's what I want to ask you.
But the sensation is that it should be useful to us. When how many students currently goes to library to read?
What is global? Why are they even opening library again?
He said e-library. So that e-library cannot become. It is e-library. That means they have computers. They have access to internet. They can still write to JAMB.
It's an e-library.
Yes,
that's a good one. Believe me.
JAMB can come.
But he's saying it's not functioning as it ought to. Now that center can be used by JAMB. It's a good. But anyways, we still believe in a
then
better
I think in recent times, the last birthday of Aishif Dumolu Briggs, he commissioned the same e-learning center at Obonoma.
Yes.
And I believe possibly in nearest time it will be completed. It may also.
Why is it not complete? It's been long. But why
his birthday was last year. I don't know the scope of the project. Also, as the other LGAs can also buy into this idea, there are some buildings that are not functional. It was built and nothing is going on there. There are some memorial halls in different buildings here in Port Harcourt. They can convert it to JAMB centers. Although
it's just a one-day thing.
It's a one-day thing.
Let's say in a week you're done.
Has more constitution of JAMB centers in Port Harcourt.
Yes.
So they can also, the communities that are building memorial halls, they can convert it for just a temporary.
Then outside that, let me ask you a very vital question. Do you think the Nigerian government, WAEC alone, is okay? Or WAEC, I mean, probably every institution's aptitude test is okay? Because we hardly hear cases of aptitude tests results getting this or that. WAEC alone and this. Do you think they should scrap out JAMB?
I mean, I support it. I feel like there's no. I don't see what JAMB is really assessing.
Okay, from me, let us look at the exams that we have in Nigeria. first school leaving certificate.
Mhm.
Then after secondary
Your
school,
WAEC.
you write your WAEC. Now, for me, the WAEC should not be scrapped off because not everyone that writes WAEC would venture into university.
No,
So
that's I
yes,
was referring to
so
JAM.
so
Yes.
now
So JAM
I'm
is
trying
scrapped
to
out. Yes.
bring the
It's
importance of
taking.
this exam.
Okay.
For JAM, it is basically a body that regulates the people that get
Access
admission
into
into
university.
university. You get the point. Now, it is the aptitude test that we can now scrap off because for me it is a repetitive test.
Act. Okay.
You are repeating the same. We wrote JAMB, an
But
exam to gain admission.
but if you're saying the exam, the JAMB is like it's a repetition of an aptitude test, I feel like why I said that JAMB should leave is that the school that is accepting you should be the one that has the right to assess you for acceptance.
But the
Not
schools,
JAMB as a body
they are all
who
in
does not know the
test
criteria
form now.
fully
They are
of the
all
school.
See, on that, for me, where I would come in is for the aptitude test. While I feel it is not necessary, is that if you check the grading system, it differs from school to school.
Yes.
And then you have more options to score higher when you have more questions to answer than, for example, 10% of I don't think anybody will score 10% of 400, which is 40. Nobody will score 40 over 400 in JAMB. But some person score 4 over 40 in aptitude test. In US, I think it's over 50. So I think the score mark also determines who gains admission or not. So I feel the aptitude test comes after JAMB and not before JAMB.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So that should be
I hear
left
your
out.
point for the fact that it comes after JAM, not before JAM. Something like that.
And I feel sometimes maybe the aptitude test also reduces the number of persons that gains admission. For example, if 4,000 persons, if 4,000 persons, every university has a ratio of lecturer to students. Universities reduce the number of admissions every year through JAMB first gives multiple admissions. For example, let's say 4,000 persons gain admission, and then RSU can only accommodate 2,500. Now it is the aptitude test that they use to reduce the number of admissions they get. Where I think JAMB should improve on is their the marking scheme. It's automated. So I think they should also check if there are errors in automation. I think there's a particular year JAMB gave 40 marks to almost every person in Nigeria.
Yes,
so without any reason. So possibly they've seen that there's a fault on their part and they're trying to correct that. So I think that's where JAMB needs to improve.
Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard it all. JAM. Has JAM ever jammed you before? I'm a JAM bite. I used to hear that thing.
Yes.
I'm a JAM bite. All right. So as you all know, the comment section is open for you all to drop your opinion. Blah 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 blah. If JAM is bad, JAM is good. If we are good or we are bad, or if we are truly giving you the cool gist, you get what I'm saying? All right. We've come to the end of today's episode. Today we talked about JAM being a modality to score or for success after secondary school. And on this show, we've had a very good-looking young man who has shared his own insight about his JAM journey, his uni journey, tertiary institution journey, and of course, this is after youth service stage. Do you understand? So thank you. See you same time, Wednesday, 5 p.m. West African time. Bye.